In the mid-1950s, the art of the disposable consumer culture was born. In 1957, the British artist Richard Hamilton issued its manifesto. This art, he said, should be popular, that is designed for a mass audience. It should be transient, expendable, low cost, mass-produced, gimmicky. And in the 1960s, this art came of age, pop.
There was at that moment a kind of liberating nihilism, a sense that you could sort of clear away the junk of an inheritance from the 19th century, which people had long since ceased to believe in. So that kind of clearing away and allowing oneself to really stare modern culture in the face, that had a tremendously liberating, invigorating, energizing quality. And it's that quality that gave pop art its kind of joyousness at the beginning. Even though a lot of the message had this very acid undertone because it was denying a lot of things that we like to think about ourselves. When Roy Lichtenstein turns to the visual vocabulary of comic books, he is examining stereotypes, packaged images, packaged plots, packaged personalities. Warhol's move is absolutely brilliant because what he does is to make a canvas which is nothing but the repetition of identical objects that are the product of mass production, assembly line production. Warhol focuses on the effect of the commodity. Its existence is pure repetition. And his commodities extend to people as well, especially movie stars. Our experience of singular, unique events becomes flattened out through the repetition of the way we experience such an event when it comes to us through either newspaper, magazine, or television. One of these unique events that Warhol presented as banalized through newspaper reportage would be the riots in Selma, Alabama. We don't have an individuality that's secreted away from that clamor and refuse and chaos of the everyday. We are that chaos.
While in America with pop art, the attention was given to recording and to criticizing the consumer culture carried on by object, comic strips, advertising, and the media. In Europe, Yves Klein and Joseph Beuys was dealing with the idea of the artist as a shaman, the person that can change the sensibility of the world. A pilot in a German Luftwaffe, Joseph Beuys was shot down during World War II. This brush with death permeates his works. Here, a man appears to be in the jaws of a reptile entrapped in a pipe. It It is like an ancient totem on its side, suggesting death and birth at the same time. For Beuys, each element in the world has the same value. For him, there is no difference between animals, plants, objects, or human beings. All share the same energy. He envisioned a world where everyone was an artist. His work dramatizes unrealized potential, like the sound of flowers decaying or the symbolic power of the cross. This piano is wrapped in felt, like an elephant's hide, but the concert ground is not dead, only mute. Underneath, it can still be played. Yves Klein had the desire to purify reality, painting everything blue. This kind of blue has been invented by Klein to represent and to symbolize the spirituality and the material sensibility that permeates any substance. In a carefully orchestrated event in the early 60s, Klein took these models and made them his paint brushes. Traces of their bodies remain. The canvas is transformed into a blue icon that represents the transformation of the flesh into purity.
Minimal art, or what came to be known as minimalism, was really a phenomenon of abstract sculpture that ran parallel to the rise of pop art in the early 60s. Minimal art seems to have devised a kind of abstract sculptural analog to what it was that pop art was doing. Like pop art, one felt that the artist was taking a certain kind of almost perverse and nihilistic pleasure in sweeping away this sense of the artist-creator as the generator of form, and instead subjecting himself or herself to the idea of these abstract forms as something that he, of course, could not have invented.
What they did was to place the object into the gallery space or into the open air, so it was affected by changes in the environment around it, changes in light, in color, and in perspective.
We've been looking at a late work by Sol LeWitt, where a white pyramid and a black slab bracket a Baroque palace in Munster, Germany. When we remind ourselves that sculpture, because it is three-dimensional and freestanding, is the model of the human body, of ourselves, we understand that these sculptors are using this strategy to say something about us, its observers. The relationship of the work to its specific site becomes an abstract way of insisting that the individual is determined by his or her political and cultural context.